All right, what is up, y'all? I'm here to fill out my March Madness bracket for 2021. I'm so hyped up, I'm not even going to do the intro. We're going to hop right into this. No edits, no cuts. I'm just going to go through my thought process for pretty much every single game. So this is going to be a little bit longer video. And the dimensions might be a little messed up because I'm testing out a screen recorder right now instead of going into Premiere using camera, all that. So with that out of the way, make sure to give it a thumbs up if you like this video. Make sure to subscribe if you aren't already. And I also have a Google Forms down below in the description. If you have any other video ideas, make sure to let me know. It's anonymous. And with that, let's hop into my March Madness predictions for 2021. So, as you can see already, I was testing something out. I'm picking Gonzaga, obviously. I mean, the ones versus 16s, 2s and 5 teams, I'm not really going to talk about that much because they're kind of irrelevant. And I'm an idiot if a 16 seed wins. All right, next one. Oklahoma and Missouri. Both of these teams are really cold heading into the tournament, but I'm going to give the edge to Missouri even though Oklahoma has the better competition and they have a stronger schedule. So now number 5 Creighton versus number 12 Santa Barbara. This is an upset here, but I do kind of like Creighton still in this one. Santa Barbara plays a really slow brand of basketball, and they're all about defense. They don't really have any quality wins, but they also have been blowing teams out, although they haven't been playing any strong teams. So for the sake of March, I'm going to go Santa Barbara here. Creighton's also dealing with some controversy with their head coach, Greg McDermott, so that's another thing to keep in mind while we're picking these. Next is number 4 Virginia versus number 13 Ohio. As I'm uploading this video or recording this video, Virginia's still in the tournament. This could change if they have more COVID cases, then Louisville would fill in for them. And that's a completely different story. Virginia's not going to practice that much, which scares me a little bit. Ohio has a first-round pick. The guard's amazing. But even with that, I'm going to pick Virginia. Ohio could upset, though. Next is USC versus the winner of Wichita State and Drake. Both of these teams are kind of limping into the tournament, too, for the first 4 game. I'm expecting Drake to win this game, but I don't think they're going to go very far. I think USC is going to win. The Mobley brothers are fantastic. Next is number 3 Kansas versus number 14 Eastern Washington. This is going to be an interesting one. Eastern Washington is one of the best free throw shooting teams in the country this year, and Kansas is kind of limping along also. The Jayhawks were kind of picking up steam in the Big 12 tournament before COVID hit them. I'm going to go Kansas here. I know this is kind of chalk so far, but it'll change the later we go into the tournament. Next is Oregon versus VCU. I like Oregon here. Them and Oregon State, doesn't really matter what sport it is. They usually play pretty close. I'm not too worried about their loss against Oregon State. And then next is Iowa versus Grand Canyon. We're going to go Iowa here. So now let's move us over. And I know this is going to look really wonky here. We're going to move over to the south. Oh my God, what am I doing? This is awkward. This screen recording thing is weird. Okay. Yeah, Baylor's going to be at Hartford. It's not even going to be close. North Carolina, Wisconsin. I'm a little worried about Wisconsin. They do have a really big team, but it's not going to matter because North Carolina almost grabs half of their offensive rebounds, which is outstanding. Great rebounding team. They seem to be picking up steam. Also, they also have a fantastic coach in Roy Williams. We're going to go North Carolina here. Now, number 5 Villanova versus number 12 Winthrop. This is a popular upset pick because Villanova is without their star point guard, Colin Gillespie. They still have Jeremiah Robinson-Earl, so he's still going to be there. Winthrop is a great defensive team, but giving Jay Wright this much time to prepare without Gillespie, I know they're walking in cold. Winthrop has only had 1 loss this year. I still like Villanova. Next is Purdue and North Texas. I'm just going to go off the bat and say Purdue. North Texas is... I watched a little bit of their game against Western Kentucky. I've seen a few other games this year. The Mean Green have a pretty solid defense. They can sometimes score when they need to. That game against Western Kentucky in the finals could be scary, though, because in their first 16 minutes of the second half, they only scored 2 points. And that is not going to work against a team like Purdue, who has faced amazing competition all year. Next is number 6 Texas Tech versus number 11 Utah State. You might want to take the under in this game. I'm not really sure what it is, but it's going to be really defensive. I'm going to go Texas Tech here. Utah State could upset also because it is a defensive game. You never know how these games are going to go. All right, this one's going to be controversial. Number 3 Arkansas versus number 14 Colgate. Arkansas is a great story this year. They have a fantastic coach. They're a well-rounded team and they play in a pretty good conference. I'm glad to see Arkansas doing well. With that being said, though, I think the Hogs are going to lose to Colgate. This is this is a little ballsy because, both of these teams are very well at shooting. Colgate shoots 40% from 3. But with that being said, they also have lost, I think, one game this year, and they've only played teams in the Patriot League. The Patriot League is not as strong as the SEC. I'm sorry. They have a guard with them. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. We'll look him up really quick because this is important. Anyways, he was playing against Tennessee. Oh, this shows? Whoops. Okay, never mind. But they had a guard against Tennessee. He's a senior now, and he scored 32 points against the Volunteers when they were a 2 seed in the 2019 tournament. Colgate hasn't played quality teams this year, but Colgate has played against quality teams in the past in this tournament, and they have their star player who is there against Tennessee. Next, Florida and Virginia Tech. Florida's inconsistent. Virginia Tech, with COVID, has gone on a huge slump. This is actually a coin toss. This is the first game of the tournament outside of the first 4. I'm going to be picking Florida. I'm not going to be surprised or heartbroken if Virginia Tech wins. Next is number 2 Ohio State, number 15 Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts has the number 1 scorer in the country. I think he's averaging about 24 points per game. I'm still going to go Ohio State here. They just have too much star power, and they looked really good against Illinois. All right, so now we're going to scroll down here to the Midwest. This is, I think, my favorite region this year, not only because my favorite basketball team, West Virginia, is in this region, but also there's a lot of good games that are going to be happening here. So Illinois and Drexel, that's not going to be one of them. Illinois has one of the strongest schedules in the entire NCAA, and they just have a lot of great players on there. Loyola, Chicago, and Georgia Tech. This one I'm really excited about. Neither team should be ranked this low, in my opinion. I think Loyola Chicago should be like a 6 seed. They have Cameron Krutwig. He is a fantastic big. He's really been carrying them this year. Loyola Chicago has a really good defense also. With that being said, though, Georgia Tech just won the ACC tournament, so they're pretty hot right now. They also have a great defense. Man, I'm drawing a blank on all these guys' names. They have a fantastic guard who has been averaging 3 steals a game. So this is going to be a pretty defensive game. It's also going to be, I think, the best game of the first round. I'm going to pick Georgia Tech here. And it's going to be close. You could see Loyola Chicago actually beating maybe even Illinois. That's an unpopular upset, but it's not, out of the 1 seeds, that's one of the ones I could see happening. I think Georgia Tech could also probably upset Illinois. Moving on, number 5 Tennessee Volunteers versus the number 12 Oregon State Beavers. Tennessee is very talented, and I feel like I should be picking them. Oregon State's super hot. They've been shooting super well from the 3-point line, over 40% in the Pac-12 tournament. Outside of that, if we're going off of stats before the tournament started, Oregon State sucks. But I think they'll keep it going for at least one more round. I just want to see another 12 seed beat a 5 seed, honestly. And 5 seeds don't have a great record against 12 seeds. I think it's a 64% win percentage in the past 5 tournaments or something like that. We're going to move on to now number 4 Oklahoma State, obviously, with Cade Cunningham versus number 13 Liberty. Liberty's defense, as you saw against them versus Mississippi State, they're kind of shifted to a more offensive team. They have a great head coach, but so does Oklahoma State, and they're having a better supporting cast around Cade Cunningham also. So give me Oklahoma State. Could be an upset, but I don't see it happening. Next is number 6 San Diego State, number 11 Syracuse. This is an upset game. I think Brian Dutcher is a fantastic head coach, so that's one of the key reasons why I'm not picking Syracuse here, even though Jay Boeheim is probably a better coach all time. Buddy Boeheim's fantastic. They have a lot of quality players, but Syracuse has been pretty inconsistent this year. They didn't go as far as I thought they won the tournament, even though they lost on a buzzer beater against Virginia. San Diego State was going to be a 1 or a 2 seed last year. They lost Malachi Flynn. They fell off a little bit. Give me San Diego State. They should be ranked higher anyways. Number 3, West Virginia versus number 14, Warhead State. I'm a big WVU fan. I'll try to keep my bias out of this. But I think West Virginia is still going to win. They have a lot of offensive firepower. Morehead State's coming in hot, but they're also playing against a fantastic Big 12 team. Clemson, Rutgers, another coin toss. I think Clemson's the better team, but I think Rutgers is going to be fired up. This is their first appearance since, I think, 1991 in the tournament. Give me Rutgers. And then number 2, Houston versus number 15, Cleveland State. Cleveland State's pretty solid. They're also, so this is called the Ken Palm ratings, and they're a bunch of advanced analytics, and they are the highest team in luck, which I'm going to be honest, I don't really know what that means. Maybe lucky bounce shots, something like that, steals, bumps, anything like that, rebounds. But I'm going to go Houston here anyways. Okay, now we're going to move over here. And once we get out of the first round, I'm just going to go region by region. So we'll start with this region and just go all the way through, pick the winner, who I think is going to win the region. Number 1, Michigan versus the winner of Mount St. Mary's or Texas Southern. Doesn't really matter who wins that. Michigan's probably going to win. Next, we're going to go to LSU and St. Bonaventure. Mark Schmidt's a fantastic coach at St. Bonaventure, but I also think that LSU has such a great offense. I don't think it's going to matter. The Bonnies haven't really seen a team like LSU this year, even though the A10 is pretty good. So I'm going to go LSU. Next is number 5, Colorado versus number 12, Georgetown. I think according to ESPN, this might be the biggest upset. I mean, outside of like 8 and 9 games. Georgetown is coming in hot. Patrick Ewing caught some of that magic he had at Madison Square Garden. Probably was contagious for the Georgetown team. They're 1 game over 500, and I should be using the same excuse for Oregon State as well. But Colorado is a decent team. I think Colorado's going to win this game. Next is Florida State versus UNC Greensboro. This could be another upset game. I would have picked UNC Greensboro if they were maybe a 12 seed or we were playing a different 4 seed in another bracket. But I'm going to go Florida State here. I think it's just a bad matchup. Poor luck for UNC Greensboro. Moving on, number 6 BYU versus number 11. This is a play-in game, the first 4. It'll be Michigan State versus UCLA. Give me Michigan State beating UCLA, and then give me Michigan State beating BYU. BYU is a solid team. They almost beat Gonzaga in the conference tournament. They lost to them 3 times, though. Michigan State does have 12 losses, but they also have quality wins against teams like Ohio State, Michigan, and Illinois. All 3 fantastic teams this year. All of them are ranked as a 2 seed or higher. So give me Michigan State in an upset. Texas versus Abilene Christian. Abilene Christian is a pretty good team, but give me Texas. Shaka Smart is a fantastic coach, and they also have a ton of talent everywhere. Even their star players aren't averaging that many points because there's so many great players in that roster. Number 7, Uconn versus number 10, Maryland. This is basically a coin flip also, but I'll go with James Bouknight because he is finally back in the lineup, and Uconn is catching fire with him back in it. Maryland's a good team, too. It wouldn't surprise me if they won. And then the last game of a round of 64, Alabama versus Iona. Rick Paterno is the head coach of Iona. He was coach of Kentucky, Providence, Louisville, all those great teams. He's won multiple championships, I think. I know he won one with Louisville and they revoked it, but for me, evidence, well, okay, we're not going to get into that. Rick Paterno is a great coach, but so is Nate Oates, and Nate Oates it's not the coaches who are playing the game, it's going to be the players. Alabama has a much better team than Iona. That's an aggressive click. Okay, so now we're just going to fill out the rest of this region before we go back to the other regions and fill them out. I know this is kind of unorganized, but that's just the way I'm going to do it. I'm still trying to figure out the screen recording thing. All right, number 1 Michigan versus number 8 LSU. This is another upset I've heard some of my friends talk about. I'm going to go Michigan here. I know Jalen Livers' injury is going to catch up to Michigan. I don't think it's going to happen this round, though. Michigan still has a lot of quality players. So does LSU, and if LSU is hot and Michigan isn't, then obviously LSU will win this game. Number 5, Colorado. Number 4, Florida. Jeez, man. I can't speak right now. We're going to go Florida State over Colorado. Colorado's not that great of a team, and I wouldn't be surprised if they lost to Georgetown. I just think we're going to make it out of the first round. Florida State has great defense. They have Scotty Barnes. Leonard Hamilton's a better coach than whoever Colorado's coach is. I should really know Colorado's coach's name right now, but again, I can't think of it. Next, we have number 11, Michigan State or UCLA versus Texas. This is where the upset is going to end. God. Can't click. We're going to go Texas here. And then Uconn versus Alabama. I'm going to take the upset and go Uconn. I know it's not very probable. It would make more logical sense if Alabama beats Uconn, but I don't want to go all chalk here. I want to make it at least a little bit interesting. I think James Bouknight's going to play very well in this, and I think Uconn's going to advance to the Sweet 16. So now let's move back over to the Midwest, and let's talk about Illinois versus Georgia Tech. I could see Illinois losing to Loyola Chicago or Georgia Tech, but I don't think it's going to. I don't think it's the chances are high for either team. Illinois is just too dominant, so we're advancing them to Sweet 16. Number 12 Oregon State versus number 4 Oklahoma State. I think this is where it's going to really. The luck is going to end for the Beavers. Oklahoma State has maybe the number 1 pick in the draft, and Cade Cunningham. I think they're going to advance and beat Oregon State. I just forgot. I didn't pick the entire thing. Okay, well, we're going to head back to the left. I'm sorry if anyone up to this point is watching this. I'm sorry about doing that. It's a little unorganized. We'll move on to San Diego State and West Virginia. I could see San Diego State winning this game, but Bob Huggins, I think, is going to make the right adjustments against San Diego State's fantastic defense. Derek Culver and Miles McBride is a great duo. Both of them can score, and we also have a lot of shooters around them as well. So we're going to go West Virginia. Next, Rutgers Houston. This could be an upset, but I'm going to go for Houston Cougars. They still don't have a ton of competition up to this point in the Sweet 16. They got a good spot in their seeding. So now we're just going to finish this out because I forgot to do it in the other side. We're going to go Illinois over Oklahoma State. I think Oklahoma State does not have enough star power against Illinois, obviously, and that would be trouble for Cade Cunningham to carry. Next is West Virginia versus Houston. Now, Houston, I think, is a little overrated, and I think a lot of the top analysts out there for college basketball think the same way. I think West Virginia takes this one. Now, this is scary because West Virginia could lose to Moorhead. They could lose to San Diego State. They could also lose to Houston, but I'm going to take the Mountaineers in somewhat of an upset just because they've faced better teams. And the reason why that's not the case for Rutgers beating Houston is because West Virginia actually wins more of those games than Rutgers did. So now it comes down to Illinois versus West Virginia. I really want to take WVU here because I'm a huge fan of them. I watch a ton of their games. But I'm going to go Illinois. Illinois is a better team. They're red hot. They have so many great players. I don't know how they're going to lose yet. So we're going to move it over back to this bracket. I messed up. Let's go to the East again. Michigan State versus Florida State. I think Michigan's going to win this game. Livers could honestly even be back. It's a tough foot injury to play with. He's going to have to be in a boot all week, but he could take it off and play. And I think this is the time where Livers would come back against Florida State. He's not going to be 100%, but I don't think Michigan needs him to be because Michigan is a talented team. So we're taking Wolverines. And now Texas versus Uconn. I'm going to go Texas here. I think this is where Uconn's run ends. I think Texas is just a phenomenal team, but I think Texas will end of their run while playing Michigan, with Livers being a little bit healthier. I mean, he's only going to have a day or two in between these games to rest a little bit, but I think Michigan is a really good team. I think Juwan Howard's the right coach for this team also. So now let's move back up to the West. Jeez, man. I'm struggling. All right, Gonzaga, Missouri. Gonzaga, they're just so good. That's all I have to say about it. Santa Barbara versus Virginia. I think Virginia is going to beat UCSB, especially if Virginia advances and they have enough practices in between. And they'll get some... I know they've been off for a while, so Ohio could beat them, like I said before, but I think if they do end up beating Ohio and they find their groove, they'll probably find it against 12-seed Santa Barbara, even though Santa Barbara plays a similar style to Virginia. Next is USC versus Kansas. I'm going to take USC here. Kansas isn't fully healthy either. I really don't want to pick a Pac-12 team to go to the Sweet 16, but I think I'm going to have to with USC because Mobley is just... both Mobleys are great. Their guard play is a little suspect, but I think they can pull it out against Kansas. Next, Oregon versus Iowa. This could be another upset, but Oregon doesn't have a guy like Peyton Pritchard this year. Iowa has potentially the best player in college basketball, which is Luka Garza. So I'm going to take Iowa there. Gonzaga, Virginia. We're going to go Gonzaga. They just have a better squad this year than Virginia. That's it. USC versus Iowa. I'm going to take the Hawkeyes. Also because I'm not too confident in USC beating any of these teams so far. So I may as well gain a few points and hopefully Iowa makes it. I think Garza's going to have a good time against USC, and I think Iowa's guards who are shooters will also have a pretty easy time against the Trojans. So when we have Gonzaga and Iowa in the Elite Eight, we're going to go Gonzaga because, I mean, let's be real. Almost all of us are going to pick Gonzaga to win it all. Let's move on to, I believe, the South region. All right. Baylor versus North Carolina. I'm going to get torched for this one for the people that are watching this far through. I'm going to take the Tar Heels. I don't feel good, and the big reason is because I don't feel very good about picking all 1 seeds advancing to the Sweet 16. I've been burnt on this before, and I want to try to get at least one like ginormous upset. I know I have Uconn over Alabama also, but I mean, if North Carolina, I think North Carolina is the team to do it. If they're an 8 or 9 seed, I know Loyola, Chicago, and Georgia Tech are also in the same boat, but they play a team that's a lot more hot than Baylor is. Baylor's kind of skidded off the road a little bit, especially in the Big 12 tournament. So Baylor, I think, is, aside from Michigan, probably the most beatable team as a number 1 seed. I think North Carolina is going to get it done. I think they're the right team to do it. Villanova versus Purdue. I'm going to go Purdue. I think that Gillespie injury is actually going to matter a little bit more once they play better teams. And Purdue is a pretty good team. Very young, but they're also really good. Texas Tech versus Colgate. Colgate's run ends. Texas Tech, Chris Beard, he's a fantastic coach. And Texas Tech has Mac McClung, too. I think he's going to outshoot Burns in that one. And Texas Tech also has a pretty solid defense as well. Florida versus Ohio State. Florida's way too inconsistent. Give me Ohio State. That should be pretty easy for them to go to the Sweet 16. All right, North Carolina, Purdue. Give me Purdue. North Carolina could, with that momentum, go forwards, but I'm not very confident picking them that far in the tournament as an 8 seed because Baylor could definitely just cream them. Wisconsin could beat North Carolina also. It's not a given, but North Carolina wins in round 1. So I'm going to take Purdue. They have a fairly easy schedule to the Elite Eight if Baylor loses. And then give me Ohio. Wasn't thinking. Give me Ohio State over Texas Tech. And that would leave a Big 12 matchup, Big 10 matchup in the Elite Eight. I'll take Ohio State over Purdue. So that means, if I did my math right, there is your Final Four. Well, there's my Final Four. Probably not your Final Four. Gonzaga versus Michigan. Ohio State versus Illinois. 2 great games. I'm going to take Gonzaga over Michigan. Matt Livers' injury is going to end Michigan's run. And even if Isaiah Livers was healthy, I still don't know if they could beat Gonzaga this year. Jalen Suggs is phenomenal. They have another lottery pick probably on this team. Mark Few, fantastic coach. I think Juwan Howard might be outcoached there. Okay. And then I'm going to pick, again, Illinois over Ohio State. That could be another overtime game. These teams play incredibly close. Desanmu and Kofi Cockburn are it's just a great duo to have. And Illinois, I'm glad to see them back in the tournament and strong. So I'm going to take the Fighting Illini there. But that's where it's going to end. I'm picking Gonzaga. I think we're going to finish the season undefeated. And with the score, we're going to go 78-74. It's going to be a great game. I think it's going to go back and forth if both of these teams make it. And with that, I'm going to take the Gonzaga Bulldogs to win the 2021 March Madness tournament. Now, if you enjoyed liking, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, please. If you haven't subscribed already and you like this kind of content, make sure to subscribe down below. I also have a Google Forms, like I mentioned earlier in the video. If you have any video ideas, anything you want me to cover, make sure to go down below, fill it out. It's anonymous. I won't know who you are. And with that, we are going to conclude this video. I'll see you all later.